Man, it is that time of year, and I am excited to be doing the first ever JDW Sports Talk Show Power Rankings episode. This will be week 1, 2023, of course, and I hope you guys have that fight in your gut and you're ready to go, because I certainly am. I certainly can't wait for this season to kick off. On Thursday night, we're getting the Lions and the Chiefs, but before we get to our predictions, let's do our power rankings today, and predictions will be on Wednesday. So we'll be doing power rankings all year long, every 2 to 3 weeks. But predictions we will be doing every single week. So, yeah, if you guys enjoy NFL content, NFL in-season content, I plan on getting into mock drafts next offseason as well, too. So, if you like all that stuff, stick around, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and the post notification bell on. You will not regret it. I promise you. It's a great place to be. We're building a great community, and it will be one of the best decisions you ever make in your life. I promise you. So, down here, number 32, we have the fire in their guts, the Arizona Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon. I'm excited for Jonathan Gannon. I think a lot of people really were kind of crapping on him too much. I like Jonathan Gannon, considering what he did with that Eagles defense last year. Now, is it one of the most talented teams in the league in general? Yes, but that defense has so many scheme-dependent players, and Hassan Reddick, Chauncey Gardner. They had a lot of scheme-dependent players, and even James Bradbury, I would say, in certain ways. He did a phenomenal job, but there's only so much you can do as a head coach when, you don't have much of an offensive line. The defense, questions all over there. They did draft Paris Johnson, traded back and then traded up. That was a phenomenal move by them, but honestly, down here at 32, this is where they belong. They're still retooling. They got a long way to go. Kyler Murray, not even sure if they're going to be his future. There's a lot of talks about them taking Caleb Williams, and I don't blame him. Caleb Williams is a phenomenal talent. Now, we're going to have to see if Caleb Williams can kind of drop the ego a little bit. We saw Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel and these other guys have an ego. Kyler Murray is a perfect example. How is Caleb Williams going to respond? When he gets to the NFL, he's going to be like, yeah, I'm here. I made it. I don't need to do anything else. Or is he going to continue to work and just work even harder? I'm not sure. But the Arizona Cardinals down here at 32, not much to them, especially with Kyler Murray out the first 4 weeks. And, at the very least, and we don't even know, it doesn't seem like Kyler Murray's a guy. It doesn't seem like it at all. Number 31, Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts have Anthony Richardson. They have a bright future, very young football team. They're one of the 3 football teams that don't have a player over the age of 30, at 30 or over. And, it's going to show this year. The cornerback room is pretty bad, little to no experience. It did draft Julius Brents. You do have Anthony Richardson, but, a lot of these guys are young. The offensive line cannot bounce back from last year. Defense, how is the defensive line going to perform? We know Buckner and Stewart are phenomenal in the interior. So the Colts have a lot of good pieces in place. Can the offensive line be good? No Jonathan Taylor. Would Jonathan Taylor really make that big of a difference? I'm unsure. Anthony Richardson has a long way to go in the passing game, but he's going to be great, pretty damn good in the rushing game. But in passing the football, and then the Colts stopping the passing game, is probably going to be a long season for them with a lot of growing pains. The Colts belong down here at 31. And number 30, I have the Los Angeles Rams. So we know the Rams have, they've been losing a lot of guys in defense, lost a lot of guys in the secondary. Can Matthew Stafford stay healthy? Cooper Kupp is dealing with injuries right now. The Rams are, they have a few really good players in there. Aaron Donald. He's going to play and he's phenomenal, but is he going to shut down halfway through the season if the Rams just don't, play well? We'll see. I don't see the Rams really doing much this year. That is why I have them down here at number 30. Number 29, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. So, a lot of people have the Raiders a little higher, I noticed. Like 26, 25, 24 maybe. I think, ahead of the Colts, the Raiders are the second worst team in the AFC. Now, they do have some really nice pieces on offense. How can, the offense, how is the offensive line going to look? We have Josh Jacobs, Devontae, Jimmy Garoppolo. You have some really nice pieces on the offense, but offense line's a question. Josh Jacobs' health is a question. When healthy, he's one of the best backs, but he's been injured quite often. There's a lot of questions on this team. The defense, I don't know if that defense could stop a nosebleed, could stop anything. So that defense is really down there. Probably going to be one of the worst in the league. So Raiders down here at 29. Number 28, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Bucs, they have a good defense. They do. Antoine Winfield Jr., they have some experience in that secondary. They have a nice defensive line. Levante David, and the offensive side of things, you have some offensive pieces. You have Mike Evans. Although you're having some issues with Mike Evans in a contract dispute right now, that's been really flying under the radar. You have Chris Godwin. He's a phenomenal wide receiver when healthy. Offensive line is a bit of a question. How's Ryan Jensen going to bounce back? How's he going to play this year? Running backs, I don't remember who they have at running back. I know they drafted Sean Tucker, the kid out of Syracuse. Love Sean Tucker. I think he can be very good. Rashad White. But is Rashad White really that guy? I'm not sure. Losing Leonard Fournette is a bit of a loss, especially at the goal line. But I think that's what Sean Tucker is going to be. And Sean Tucker is going to be fine at the goal line. No issues for him. Now, Sean Tucker isn't the fastest, but, I mean, he can punch it in. He's kind of going to replace Leonard Fournette there. We'll see. We'll see. I think Sean Tucker is a very underrated pick, a very good pick. Now, Baker Mayfield, the quarterback situation, that's the biggest question with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have no clue how they're going to look at quarterback, who's playing. I think it's Baker Mayfield. I think they said that Baker Mayfield's starting week 1. But, you know what? Baker Mayfield is, if he could, stop the media from getting to his head and he lets everything under the sun get his feelings going, get him mad, to get into his motions. And, he's got talent. He's got one of the strongest arms in the league. Now, he has a hard time controlling it, and he can run just enough. And I love the fire that he has. He may be a little cocky. He may be a little loud, but I like that to some degree. I think he's a little too much. I think if he just puts his head down, focuses on his play, I think he could be a decent quarterback. But I don't think I'm not sure if he's going to do that in Tampa Bay. Although he's got some nice weapons, he's got some good players to work with. We saw the talent at points last year, and with the Rams when he made it was a 97-yard drive to a game-winning drive. I don't remember who he beat. I think it was the Niners. It was a good team. Maybe the Seahawks, I think it was. But it's just unfortunate the way his career has unfolded. But Tampa Bay's down here at 28. Number 27, Denver Broncos. How much of Sean Payton is going to be able to get out of Russell Wilson at this point in his career? Wilson was a phenomenal quarterback throughout with the Seahawks. Throughout his career, he was phenomenal. But his time is up. And I'm not sure how much Sean Payton can turn that clock back. Denver, especially coming to Denver, I definitely thought that Denver gave up a lot. I know, they were expecting a great quarterback, awesome, but you gave up all that draft capital for a quarterback that's aging, drives outside of the pocket and scrambling when, he's losing a step and he's getting older, and he just doesn't look at the tight ends. They do have a good defense, but I'm interested to see how good they're going to be without Vic Fangio. So, Denver down here at 27. Number 26, Carolina Panthers. I like Carolina. I think they're going to be a bit inconsistent considering they have a lot of young players. They don't really have anything on that team that's just going to be like, that's going to blow you away and you're going to be, damn, all right. It's a great spot on this team. No, they don't have that player at any of those levels. Bryce Young can be very good. We saw him going through some growing pains in the preseason. Can he, is he going to look better in the regular season? Not sure. The tackles are pretty good. Interior of the offensive line is pretty bad. Playing the Falcons this week, we'll see how Bryce Young fares against the Falcons defense, especially the interior of that Falcons defense is, the defense line is impressive. So we'll see how Bryce Young can hold up. But Carolina has some really good pieces. Like, I think Brian Burns might be one of their best players, if not the best. You're losing DJ Moore, would have been a great weapon for Bryce Young, but you do have some other guys. Adam Thielen. I think they drafted Jonathan Mingo. DJ Chark. I believe they have DJ Chark as well. There's a lot of really nice weapons in this there really are some nice weapons. I like Chark. I like Thielen. They're good vets, good reliable vets for Bryce Young. And you're going to have Jonathan Mingo. He looked pretty good in preseason. Athletic freak. Let's see if he could clean up drops a little bit and ultimately become, that guy for Bryce Young. He could be. We'll see. We'll see. And we'll see how Frank Reich's offense looks with the quarterback that he wants. He gets a chance to start over. I'm excited to see how Frank Reich's going to look. But Carolina's down here at number 26. All right. Moving up to our next row. Starting it off as the Chicago Bears. I think this is a team that can really soar up this list later in the season, or as the season goes on. We'll see how Justin Fields plays. We don't know what we're going to get from Justin Fields. I think we're either going to get a top 10 season performance, a top 10, top 12, a phenomenal, it's either he's going to be absolutely great and incredible, or he's going to play as a backup and be a backup his entire career. We'll see. I think he's going to take the next step. I actually think he's going to be good. I changed my mind on that. But, it's not the athletic ability. You never question his arm. It's up here. Well, it's up in the noggin. I don't have my camera on, so you can't really see me. But it's up in the noggin. How is he going to progress mentally? Having some experience on the belt now. Let's see. He's very raw coming out. But I'm excited to see how he's going to do in year 2. And until he takes that leap, I'm not going to raise the Bears up a lot. Now, I know DJ Moore has looked great. Khalil Herbert has looked very good in preseason. And then you also have Darnell Mooney. You have Cole Kmet. You have provided him some really nice weapons to work with. And you've drafted Darnell Wright. Now, I think that was a little high for Wright. I'm not a huge fan of Wright. I think he can be good. I'm not a huge fan of him. But we'll see. We'll see. And, this offensive line has been improved. I'm excited to see where this Bears team can go. I think the defensive line is a little rough. Let's see how they do getting pressure this year. We'll see. Chicago's down here at 25 until, they start winning. They start showing who they really are. I think it's going to take them a while to... No, it might not take them a while. I should have just probably said that. I can't move them up any higher until I see what Justin Fields and the rest of this team has together. Because everything could look good on paper. Everything looks good as a projection. But this is power rankings, not predictions or projections. Number 24, Tennessee Titans. So I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be a team that's going to beat a few teams that they shouldn't. I think they're going to be a good football team. I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think they're going to be horrible. But they have some weapons around Tannehill or whoever's going to play for it. It's going to be Ryan Tannehill until further notice. They signed DeAndre Hopkins. Great mentor for Treylon Burks. Showed some flashes in year 1. Could he stay healthy? Tight end, Chig. I like Chig. I think he can be a very good tight end. Offensive line is very questionable. Very suspect, but you did draft Peter Skoronski, but that's one position. Is it really going to turn around? It's not going to turn around your entire offensive line. Defense, this team's going to win a few games off of defense alone this year. But I don't see them winning a ton of games. The offense is going to struggle. It could. It definitely could. We'll see how Ryan Tannehill plays. What kind of Tannehill we're going to get. And until we see what we're going to get from Tannehill, from maybe Burks and Hopkins, there's question marks all over this football team. Except for the defense. I think the defense is pretty darn impressive. But there's question marks all over the offense, and we've seen you could only win so many games by having a top 5 defense. It would not shock me if the Titans had a top 3 defense. They have one of the best defenses on paper in the National Football League. But their offense, very questionable. How will the offensive line look? Ryan Tannehill is not good under pressure. How will, these weapons turn out? A lot of question marks. If one or two of the guys turn out, as the weapons, and, the other guys, it kind of opens things up for them. We'll see. Number 23, I have the Atlanta Falcons. I think the Falcons have a nice core on offense. I think the offensive line is improving. and you have Arthur Smith. I'm a big Arthur Smith fan. He's going to help that offensive line. He's going to get Bijan going. He's going to have Tyler Algier, but if you draft Bijan that early, I'm expecting for him to be the bell cow, the lead back. Unless they really want to preserve him throughout his entire career, but play him now because he's a running back. You're not sure, how the contract situation is going to be. Just play him. Just play him. You have to play your best cards right now, especially with running backs. But, they have some big guys for Desmond Ridder to go through. Now, do I think Desmond Ridder is going to be that guy? I'm unsure. I think we'll see. We'll see. But he's got some big guys to throw to. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. He's got some pretty big targets. And I'm excited to see what this Falcons team can do. When you're going to be running the football a ton, and it's going to open things up for the passing game, and it could make things easier on Desmond Ridder. And honestly, it would not shock me to see the Falcons win the division, the South. Right now, you guys will see who I have higher when we'll get to them. But right now, I think the Falcons have a lot to prove before they can do that. There's another team that, well-balanced, has some good pieces in place. There's not one spot on the roster you look and you're like, damn, yeah, they have a serious problem there. That's why this other team I have ahead of Atlanta right now. But Atlanta has high upside. We'll see if they can figure out who's going to be on the other side of A.J. Terrell. I believe they traded for Jeff Okudah. I think that was them or the Panthers. We'll see. We'll see how that defense, let's see if that defensive line can start generating some pressure outside of Grady Jarrett. We'll see. I have high hopes for the Falcons. But as of right now, they're down here. They're down towards the bottom. Number 22. Houston Texans. This is a team that can soar up this list. I can see the Houston Texans winning 8, 9, 10 games. I think the Texans are a very good football team. But they have a lot of questions to answer first. We don't know, how C.J. Stroud is going to look. That's a big thing that's weighing this down now. If we knew what C.J. Stroud was and that he will be a very good quarterback this season, I put them much higher than this. They have a good roster. Now, the offensive line is quite the question. That's my issue. But you have some really nice weapons. You have Dameon Pierce in the backfield. You went ahead and signed Dalton Schultz, a nice reliable tight end for your rookie quarterback. Getting him some weapons. He's got a lot to work with. And then the defense. Now the defensive line, we'll see how that continues to shape up. But you have some decent cornerbacks. Can Derek Stingley take that next step up this year? You have Steven Nelson. The Texans have a lot more in this team than you may think. They have Jalen Petrie. They have another safety, too. I think Jimmy Ward they have. The Texans have a lot of good pieces on this team, on this roster. And they're very underrated. I think people just put them down so low just because of the Texans and they have a rookie quarterback. And, yeah, that's fair. And I do have them pretty low. But I think this is a team that can potentially, maybe push the Jaguars a little bit. We'll see how Trevor Lawrence plays throughout the year. But I think the Texans can give the Jaguars a little scare at some point throughout the season in terms of if, everything goes good. Oh, they got Will Anderson. That's right. They will get pressure. They'll get pressure off the edge from him. They have some great pieces. Texans are very underrated. They're very sneaky. Very sneaky. Number 21, the Washington Commanders. I like Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell can be the answer at quarterback. Will he ever be a top 5, a top 7 quarterback? Probably not. But I think he could be more than enough than, I think he can be what you need. He's got some good weapons. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel. You have Brian Robinson in the backfield. Much respect for him coming back from getting shot. And very impressive. Very impressive seeing him coming back. That's great to see. Antonio Gibson's coming back. Offensive line's getting better. Still got a little ways to go. Defensive line, pretty good. Although it's underwhelming for how much draft capital they spent on that line. Yeah, some. Who are their cornerbacks? I'm blanking on their secondary. Let me take a quick look at their secondary. I know I should have done this before, but Washington Commanders depth chart. Let's check their depth chart quick because I'm not sure. Kind of blanking. So we have Manuel Forbes. That's right. Yeah. And then they have Kendall Fuller. I don't know anyone behind those two. But then they have Cam Curl, Derek Forrest. So, yeah, their secondary is not that bad. And hopefully Jamin Davis could take that next step up in their defensive line. Like I mentioned, they have stars all over it. Montez Sweat, Allen, Deron Payne, Jace Young. And the offensive line is still looking to take that next step. You know, it's getting better. You know, is it going to be great? No. But the Commanders can be better than you think. They can rise up this list. I just think there are other teams that you can count on more right now than the Commanders. We'll see about Forbes. He's smaller. His ball skills are amazing. I thought it was a little early. But we'll see. We'll see. Number 20, you have the Green Bay Packers. How are they going to look without Aaron Rodgers? That's the biggest question. I mean, it's not a bad football team. You know, you did not lose a lot of pieces on the defense. The defense is not bad. The offensive line isn't what Aaron Rodgers had, but the offensive line isn't horrible. You have some good pieces on the line. You have some weapons, maybe. You know, I heard Christian Watson is set for a breakout year. Romeo Dubes, I've heard, has had a nice camp. And they drafted a few tight ends. I know it's not Schumacher because that's who the Dallas Cowboys, but Tucker Kraft was one of them. And I think Musgrave was the other one. So they have some nice tight ends in there, and I like both of those tight ends. I think Tucker Kraft is one of those speedy tight ends, kind of like, he's kind of just speedy, and he's a good route runner. I like Tucker Kraft. I'm excited to see what we get from him, and of course Musgrave. They have some good tight ends, and it's going to help the offensive line out as well. So Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, there's no reason why Jordan Love can't, be a decent quarterback. He's got all the tools. It's just, can he himself bring himself to the next level? That's what's keeping the Packers pretty low. And if you have a quarterback problem, it's going to hurt your stock pretty badly. Number 19, we have the New England Patriots. So we'll see how Mac Jones does. Didn't have a great sophomore year, but he has a chance to go out there, third year, 3 years under his belt. Can Mac Jones go out there and, take that next step? Can he have a bounce back year? I'm unsure, but he's got some nice weapons. Devontae Parker. I don't know if they still have Kendrick Bourne. I believe he went somewhere else, but I know they signed a few weapons. Not Nelson Aguilar. Pretty sure he went to Baltimore, but they do have a few guys on that team. I know they do. Mike Gesicki, tight end, former Miami Dolphin. They have some good pieces. They have some nice pieces in place. The offensive line is, it's okay. Let's see if Mac Jones can take the next step this year. But we know their defense is going to be all right. Their defense is pretty good. Good system. You have one of the greatest coaches of all time in Bill Belichick. We'll see how the Patriots progress throughout the year. Okay, here's the next set. Number 18, I have the New York Giants. New York Football Giants, maybe I should have put them higher in this list. But I'm still questioning Daniel Jones a little bit. I think he could be great. I think he's got all the tools in the world to be a top 10 quarterback. Absolutely. My issue is the numbers just haven't been there. He hasn't produced in the passing game. He has no excuse on why he can't go out there and really take this offense to the next level. You have Barkley back. You have a speedy rookie in Jalen Hyatt, Darren Waller. Isaiah Hodgins is an awesome wide receiver. I love Isaiah Hodgins. He played in that Vikings game, and he had over 100 receiving yards on a broken ankle. Very impressive. And the defense, I have a few questions on the defense. I think the front seven is incredible. They have some very good linebackers. They have some the new addition in Bobby Okereke. And, they did trade for Isaiah Simmons. See how he pans out. They traded for Boogie Basham, Buffalo. I thought that was a fantastic trade. He's a phenomenal edge rusher, maybe a tweener, throw him in the inside. But I think he's mainly an edge rusher. That defensive line is incredible, and that is only going to help the Giants secondary. Now, they do have a undrafted rookie sensation, Trey Hawkins. I've heard some really good things about him. You have who they drafted in the first round, Deonte Banks. They drafted Deonte Banks. And, Wayne Martindale's system is good. It's very good against certain offenses. But in today's day and age, I don't think it's a great defense. Really going to struggle, that heavy man, all these blitzes. Now, in the NFC, maybe you get away with it. The quarterbacks aren't as crazy as the AFC. But when you go and play some of the best offenses with a lot of firepower, said the 49ers, said the Eagles, the Cowboys. When you go to play some of those teams that have a lot of firepower, I see even the Seahawks and good route runners, that defense is going to struggle big time. And we'll see how things progress throughout the season with Daniel Jones. I think Jones can be very good. I think he will be very good. But I can't rank them like he is there at the moment. He's still got to prove to me that he can lead this. And he did lead them really well last year. I just want to see him lead them to that next level, to that next step. The offensive line is good. You got a good run game, got some weapons. And you pair that with Daniel Jones, there's no excuse on why he can't be a great quarterback. Until we see it, Giants are down here at 18. And they do have a good team in general. They really do. But we'll see how this young secondary fares. Very young. I like the safeties. I like what this team has, future-wise. And we'll see how Barkley, we'll see if he can stay healthy. We'll see. And I think I think Daniel Jones having another year under Brian Dable and Mike Kafka. That's the OC. Yes. Have another year under both of them. Incredible. So it's only going to help them. We'll see. Number 17, we have the Detroit Lions. Big game week 1, man. Big game week 1. Some storylines. The Lions get the chance to really show the world who they are. Now, the Chiefs, Chris Jones is going to be out. But, the Lions really have a chance to come out and say, yeah, we're here. Even, if they get blown out, okay, they're staying, okay. They're the good old Lions. But they keep it close. And they make it a really good game. Okay, I see you, Detroit. I see you. But we'll see how Jared Goff, let's see if he can have a second year like he did last year, if he can find some consistency from season to season. Not easy to do. And Goff was really good last year. Was really good. But but he also had a really good offense around him. A great offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson, who was absolutely phenomenal. In case you didn't know so, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Offensive line is getting much better. It's looking pretty good. Drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. There's no reason why, why Jared Goff can, for him to blow it. We'll see how the defense, let's see if the defense can take the next step. They signed Emmanuel Mosley and Cam Sutton, so they have some experience in that secondary. They have some nice pieces in there. We'll see if this Lions team can soar up this power rankings list as the year goes on. They can, but they have to prove to us that they're really here to stay. But the NFL could have picked any team to go up against the Chiefs week 1 for the season opener. So they have high praise, high expectations. How will they respond? And, even if they do play really well and they do end up becoming a great team, remember, it's power rankings. They can absolutely soar up. They'll move up if they play well. It's as simple as that. It's how power rankings work. Number 16, New Orleans Saints. Very well-rounded team. Very well-rounded. Wait, am I missing a team? No. Yeah, that's the NFC South team I was mentioning earlier. The Saints are very well-rounded. Derek Carr isn't the quarterback that's going to take you, you know, he's not a top 5 quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. But he's very good. Borderline great, I'd say. Because without Derek Carr, the Raiders are just like the Browns, or over the last decade. Derek Carr was the only thing keeping that team afloat. The only reason why people talk about that team over the last decade. So, having a much better situation in New Orleans, we'll see how Dennis Kelly does here too. He struggled a little bit last year. We'll see how, he fixes his offense. Let's see how he responds in year 2. You got a lot of weapons. Can Mike Thomas stay healthy? Can, Chris Olave showed a lot of promise last year. And they added a few new pieces to the defense. Defensive line, you have Marshawn Lattimore, but then defense, I don't know why I completely went off topic there. I was talking about defense line that I just went out and said Marshawn Lattimore, but you look at the defensive line, they have some nice pieces on there. You have Cam Jordan. You have Demario Davis, blitzing once in a while, a very good linebacker. The Saints team is good all around. They don't have a spot you look at and you're like, wow, it's crazy. It's great. But that's what a middle-of-the-pack team looks like to me. And they are dead center at 16 at the middle of the pack. But the Saints can be a team that moves up. But the teams ahead of the Saints they're just a little bit better. Number 15, Minnesota Vikings. So some people think that the Vikings are going to play this season the way they ended off last year. And, I understand. They limped to the playoffs. They won, 13 games? 12, 13 games. They won a lot of games, and 95% of them were crazy endings, somehow finding a way to get it done. And great football teams put the boot on the neck. They hammer the nail in the coffin. They make sure that they end the game before the game is actually over. And the Vikings have not shown they can do that. Now they have a few new pieces. The defense hasn't helped them. The defense is much better. They have that defense has a few pieces that can help make it a bit better. And that might be all the Vikings need to be right back to where they were last year. But we'll see if Kirk Cousins can do it. I think Kirk Cousins is wildly underrated. I think he's very underappreciated. He's top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. Top 10 or number 11, borderline, whatever. He gets the job done. Justin Jefferson, incredible. And the offensive line is pretty good as well. But how are they going to fare not having Dalvin Cook? How is Alexander Madison going to fare well? How is he going to play? He's not a Dalvin Cook, I can tell you that. Ty Chandler, really nice preseason. How good of a running back too will he be? Or can he step up and ultimately become the guy? We'll see. But for now, Vikings are in the middle of the pack. They have some questions they need to be answered. Quite a few. Number 14, the Seattle Seahawks. Pretty good team all around. The offensive line is getting much better. Geno Smith, we'll see if Geno Smith can do what he did last year now that teams have a full year of tape. Sometimes we see a veteran come out and just have a wild year, have a very good year. Now, I'm not going to say it was a fluke because he's very accurate. Being accurate is no fluke. Being one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL, which I think he was the most accurate, actually, percentage-wise. That's no fluke. He had anticipation, and he took that offense and made sure everyone knew that it was his. He wrote back. Now he's got even more weapons. He's still got Noah Fant. Still got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. You add JSN to the mix. You have Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, improving offensive line. That offense can be pretty damn good. It can be incredible. I can see the Seahawks pushing the Niners to the limit for the division crown. If Geno Smith can continue to do what he did last year, that's the question for me. Because, like I said, sometimes you see years like that out of players that come out of nowhere. But then that's it. You never hear them again. We'll see about Geno. We'll see. But if Geno shows up like he did last year, I see the Seahawks soaring up this list very fast. I could see them being in the top 10. Absolutely. Top 5? We'll see. The top 5 is pretty loaded. Maybe top 7. Number 13, the Chargers. Herbert's not the problem. Herbert's great. Nothing wrong with Herbert. Now, you may think 13's a little low for the Chargers. And you even have the Steelers over the Chargers? Yes. So the Chargers, are going to be able to stop the run. How is the pass defense going to be? The defense in general is very, very suspect. Lots of questions. And if you can't stop the run, then, that's the easiest thing for an offense to do. If you can't stop the run, then your entire defense and your entire team is going to suffer. Like I said, it's not Herbert's fault. Although there are some, times you look at Herbert, like in that Chargers and Jags game, there were a few times where he could have put that game away. And he couldn't. He had 2 or 3 drives. And he's got weapons. Now, I don't think Mike Williams played that game. But regardless, you still had Keenan Allen, Jalen Guyton. I think they have Gerald Everett still. Offensive line was banged up. You do have Austin Eckler. Behind him, who do you have? They have Isaiah Spiller. That's right. He's a decent runner. But they have too many questions for me, man. Herbert's really, really carrying this team up here at 13. If they don't have Herbert, this team would be down probably in the bottom 25. Bottom 25. I would probably put them at 25 and then put the rest of the teams and then just move the rest of the teams up. Herbert's really carrying the load. He's really carrying it. And yeah, does have some good receivers as well. Does have some very good receivers, a very good receiving back. Offense line's improving. Let's see how Herbert does this year. No, like I said, that's not my question. I don't know why I said that. We'll see how the Chargers fare. We'll see what they can do. How the rest of the team can come together. Below average head coach. The Chargers are not doing Justin Herbert any favors. But they're here at 13 just because of Herbert. Number 12, Pittsburgh Steelers. Now you may be thinking to yourself, you have the Steelers at 12? That seems pretty high. And I get it. But the Steelers are going to be very good this year. Very good. George Pickens, they have some nice weapons for Kenny Pickett. George Pickens. Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth. They have Najee in the backfield. I know they drafted another back. I can't remember who though. I can't remember who. I have to look it up because it's gonna bother me. But they did draft another running back. The offensive line is young, but it's getting better. But you look at the defensive side of things. Defensive line incredible. T.J. Watt incredible. Cornerbacks we'll see. Joey Porter Jr. was really getting bullied by George Pickens throughout the entire offseason process, training camp, not really preseason, but the training camp practices in general. Joey Porter has been bullied, but that's only going to make him better. So Steelers up here at 12, maybe a little higher than a lot of people expected them to be, but they have a lot of great pieces to put in place. And don't forget, they have one of the best coaches in the National Football League. He always gets his team playing at a very high level. Always. I'm very excited for the Steelers this year and see if Kenny Pickett can take that next step. Next row. I think there's one surprise in here that may shock people a little bit. Number 11, Miami Dolphins. Big thing is, can Tua stay healthy? No Jalen Ramsey now. Although they do have some really young, although they do have some depth in that secondary. I have Cam Smith is going to step in there. They did trade Noah Igbenogany for I think it was Calvin Joseph from the Cowboys. I think that's who it was. But no, it wasn't Calvin Joseph. Blanking. But they have X, very good cornerback. He did take a step back last year. Hopefully he can come back to what he was last year, or 2 years prior. Defensive line is very good. Christian Wilkins, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. Jalen Phillips is going to take a superstar step this year. And then the offense, we already know. I don't really need to explain the offense too much. Do I really need to? You have Jalen Waddle. You have Tyreek Hill. That offense is just insane. And as long as Tua, well, the other question I do have is Tua. If he can stay healthy, and if he could play like he did before having all that crazy stuff happen to him last year, Tua and this team will be very good. Very good. They will be competing for the division crown. And I think the offense line is a little better than people give them credit for. They have a really nice running back by committee. Raheem Mostert, Devin Achane, the rookie out of A&M, Jeff Wilson Jr., and I believe they said that Achane and Waddle are going to be set to go week 1. Good. They're making good progress. So Dolphins here at number 11 do have some questions, but they still have a ton of big-time playmakers. So Miami stay at number 11. Number 10, Cleveland Browns. Now, you may be looking at this and being like, this is a prediction. This isn't your week 1 power rankings. And it is my power ranking. It may seem more like a prediction to have the Browns at 10. But the Browns have so much talent on that team right now. They have so much talent. Nick Chubb, incredible. They have some great weapons for Deshaun Watson. You have Amari Cooper. You trade for Elijah Moore. The offensive line, very good offensive line. Some very good tight ends. There's not a spot in this Browns team I look at and I'm like, yeah, they're horrible. Cornerbacks, Denzel Ward took a little bit of a step back last year, but he's a very good cornerback. Denzel Ward is great. Defensive line, you have Myles Garrett. You have a ton of incredible defensive line talent there. Edge rushers. The Browns are going to be very good this year. Very good. Do not sleep on the Browns. And don't forget what Deshaun Watson was before. All that crazy stuff happened. He was a top 10 quarterback. He was a top 5 quarterback, I'd say, before all that crazy nonsense happened. Now he's got another year under the system. He's got a full year to prove himself, and I see Watson and the Browns doing so. Number 9, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. If Trevor Lawrence can be 80% of what he was in that second half versus the Chargers, the Jaguars will be a top 5 team this year. 100%. But that's the issue. He has struggled to find consistency. When Trevor Lawrence is playing at his best, when he's playing at his highs, he's one of the best in the National Football League. He's right up there with Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers, Burrow. He's right up there. But when he's bad, he is stinking horrible. And you can't just be playing a half of a game like you did in the playoffs. You're not going to get away with that all the time. And now, he's got some wild weapons now. Offense line's getting better. It's Calvin Ridley, Kirk, Evan Ingram has another year under his belt. Not just with Trevor Lawrence, but in the system. Defense has a lot of big-time playmakers. Tyson Campbell broke out last year. You have Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker on the other side. The Jaguars have a lot to look forward to this year. And as long as Trevor Lawrence can find consistency, would not shock me if the Jaguars had 11, 12, 13 wins. Would not shock me. Would not. The division they're playing in is pretty weak. Although I will say the Texans are very good. Other than that, you most likely have 2 wins against the Colts and the Titans. Now, you're probably getting upset in there someplace. But Jaguars belong at 9. They belong in the top 10. And until Trevor Lawrence can prove to be consistent, this is where the Jaguars will stand. Well, remember, it's not just the quarterback. It's the whole team. If you're winning and you're playing good, you move up. If not, you move down. It's that simple. But if Trevor Lawrence does play really well, 80% of what he did in that second half finds consistency, this entire Jaguars team will be playing at a very high level. Number 8, newly look New York Jets with Aaron Rodgers. You have Garrett Wilson in the second year. I love Robert Saleh's system he's got there. The Jets have so many great pieces put in place. The defense is phenomenal. You have great pieces all over the place. Sauce Gardner proved that, he's living up to the hype. Can he do it for a second year in a row? We'll see. Very difficult for corners to have 2 dominant years in a row like that. Very dominant to have 1 year as it is. Very difficult. But Sauce was dominant. He was incredible. And you have DJ Reed on the other side. Quinnen Williams. They have a good team. They have a damn good football team. And you add Aaron Rodgers into that mix. They signed Dalvin Cook. You have Breece Hall. Offensive line is only getting better. I'd be impressed. And I think they signed Robert Tonyan. Jets will kill it. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens. So, as long as Lamar Jackson is in and he's healthy, this team will be one of the best in the league. You have him some great weapons now. Offensive line is good. Good running back committee. Defense is very good. The Ravens are a damn good football team with Lamar Jackson. And if Lamar Jackson stays healthy, I don't see the Ravens moving much this year. I think 7 could be a very consistent spot for them. But you never know. Like the 5 to 8, maybe the 5 to 10 range will be a very consistent, will be where the Ravens stay all year, as long as Lamar is healthy. Ravens can be a good team this year. Very good football team. One of the most dominant, especially when they have Lamar. Very difficult to defend, as we all know. Number 6, you got the Dallas Cowboys. We know the Cowboys are a great football team. They have incredible talent. And the question never is how good they're going to be in the regular season. The question is, what are they going to do in the postseason? Can they finally get over the hump? And this year, I think they will. I think they absolutely could. So, Dallas up here at 6. Let's see if they can move up even more. I think they could be very dominant this year. I can see them moving up in the top 5, top 4, top 3. We'll see, though. We'll see. Number 5, Buffalo Bills. Bills' offense is going to look a little different, so it's going to take opposing teams a little while to adjust to that maybe. We haven't really seen Josh Allen in the type of offense that the Bills are going to want to run. A lot of two tight end sets, a lot of heavier sets. Having these big guys to throw to over the middle of the field, having Diggs, Gabriel Davis on the outside. Bills have a ton of firepower, and as long as Josh Allen's under center, they'll be fine. But I do think Josh Allen's going to take a little bit of a step back this year. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year. It's just because I noticed once you get Josh Allen rattled, once you get him fuming, mad, once you hit him, he gets mad. And he seems to get frustrated. And once he gets frustrated, he has a hard time coming back down to earth. It seems like he has a very hard time getting focused again. And, the Bills' defense, not much changes. You're going to have Von Miller coming back, not right away, but he will be back. But Buffalo belongs up here at 5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. The top 4. At number 4, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. So, you may be asking yourself, why are the Eagles all the way down at 4? They have one of the best rosters in the league. Very good football team. Big-time playmakers. Hold on. Okay. My bad. But they have big-time playmakers on every level, on both sides of the ball. But they did lose quite a few players. They lost Chauncey Gardner. They lost a few linebackers over the middle of the field. They most definitely lost some talent. And the depth at wide receiver, I would say, is one of their weaknesses as well. They have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. If one of those two guys go down for a couple of weeks, it might be tough. And, this offense might look very different. As you know, both of these guys together are incredible. They complement each other so well. So well. And they're just both incredible receivers. But if one of them go down, but you have Zacchaeus, which I do like Zacchaeus. I think he's a decent receiver. But he's definitely not a guy you want being number 2 or whoever else they have there. We'll see how, they handle that. Hopefully they don't have to deal with that. But, the NFL's a tough game. It's a long season. Odds of one of your top 2 receivers missing the game they're there. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We know the offensive line, it's older, but it's one of the best in the league. We'll see if any of those guys take a step back. Running backs, Trey for Swift. How is Hurts going to be in the second year? Is he going to be able to have a season like last year? Now, the big reason why I have them at 4 and these other teams over them is because they have new coordinators on both sides of the football. And I think there's going to be an adjustment period, so I don't think they are going to be as strong week 1. I don't think they're going to be as strong as they will be a couple of weeks down the road, like a couple of games down the road. It may take them a couple of games, 4, 5, 6 games to really adjust to this new system, the new coordinators. But let's be honest. They're still one of the most talented teams in the NFL. They still have so many stars. So, yeah. Eagles at number 4. Number 3, San Francisco 49ers. One of the best rosters in the NFL. One of the best coaches. Now, my big question is Brock Purdy. How is he going to look after the surgery, the elbow injury? I think he'll be fine. And another question is, having that full offseason of tape from other teams. Other teams have that full offseason tape. Is he going to be able to do what he did last year? I think he showed a lot of what all we really needed to see from the Niners last year. But sometimes players come into a certain offense, and especially the Shanahan offense. It's very difficult to game plan for. He's one of the best coaches in the league. Very good. Never know what his next move is. So playing for that kind of offense can definitely help him. And that's not going to take the Niners down. Because it doesn't matter who quarterback is. It seems like they find a way. Well, we saw what happened when he went down last year. 2 guys went down. You have your third string playing versus Philly? If Brock Purdy played the entire game, would not have shocked me if the 49ers won that game. Would not have shocked me one bit. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Brock Purdy will be what he was last year. And if he does, the Niners can move up to 2 or 1, depending on how dominant they are, throughout the season. And it matters who you play. It does. If you play the Cardinals, Colts, or the Rams, and you beat them close, okay, you're probably going to stay at 3. Or if one of these other teams beat, each other in the top 10, that team's going to move up over you. Maybe. It all depends on how the games go down. There's no set in stone way to do power rankings every single week. That's what the fun is too as well. But currently, Niners are at 3, Bengals are at 2, and of course the Chiefs are at 1. We all know what the Bengals are. Now, with Joe Burrow being, with his injury, maybe I jumped the gun with putting the Bengals at 2 because of that. But it's seeming like he might play week 1. And if he does, I think either if he's hurting a little bit or not, Joe Burrow is still going to be Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is that kind of player. If he's hurting and he's still struggling with an injury, he still will look great. He has great weapons. Offensive line is good enough to get the ball out quick, to Chase, to Higgins, Boyd, Charlie Jones. They have a lot of firepower. They have Mixon back. There's a lot to look forward to with this Bengals team. You know, the defense, I would say the safeties would maybe hold them back this year because they lost Von Bell and Jesse Bates to incredible safeties. But they have Daxton Hill and Cam Britt. Daxton Hill is incredible. He's gonna fill the I'm blanking. He's gonna fill the Von Bell type of role. He's incredible. Very good safety. I love what we saw from Daxton Hill last year. Cam Britt, we'll see. I have a lot of high hopes for him. I think he could be a good safety in that secondary. And then you have Chidobe coming back, who was honestly one of the best corners last year until he got injured. He was playing like one of the best. But Bengals sit here at number 2. As long as they have Burrow, all those weapons, players in the defense that can take the ball away, Trey Hendrickson's coming off the edge, they're going to be at 2. Now you may ask yourself, maybe their roster isn't as impressive as the Niners and the Eagles, but you know what they have over them? That quarterback. And that quarterback makes a heck of a difference. And number 1, I think we all expected this. I don't think anyone expected anything different. Kansas City Chiefs number 1. As long as they have Mahomes, they're going to be number 1. As long as they have Mahomes and Andy Reid, I don't see this changing. Andy Reid is a mastermind. Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. Yeah. Chiefs belong at 1. And I don't think many people are going to argue. Some people may argue and say put the Eagles at 1. The Eagles are way too low at 4, which I can see. It's a fair argument. But this is my opinion. This is where all these teams belong. This is a pretty long one, and I hope you guys did enjoy it. It took me quite a while to make, but you know what? It's all worth it. It's worth it because I look into some of the teams, and I learn a little bit about every team. And all right, these are my power rankings for Week 1, the start of the 2023 NFL season. That's all I got from you. That's all I got from me for you. Thank you for tuning into the JDW Sports Talk Show, where every fan is welcome. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. And last but not least, before we do get out of here, I want to thank our members, Marshman Gunner and Red the Rat. I appreciate you two for becoming members, being part of the JDW squad. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, and never feel like you have to become a member to be part of this community. But if you do, you're going to get a little extra back. You're giving a little extra, so you're going to get a little extra. And that's all I got from me tonight. Well, for my power rankings, this is JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.